never been like a huge deer hunter or big game hunter. We just didn't deer hunt a ton growing up. We did a little bit, but my dad always liked to duck hunt, and once we started turkey hunting, it's kind of like birds was our thing. But I've always kind of been intrigued by elk hunting, and I guess maybe the thing that intrigued me the most was every time I would talk to somebody about elk hunting, I would hear them say something to the extent of, dude, if you like turkey hunting, you will love elk hunting. It's like turkey hunting on steroids. It's like calling a 1,000-pound gobbler. And the turkey hunter inside of me is kind of like, really? Like, if it's like that, I probably shouldn't be involved in it. Like, I might actually really, really enjoy that. But also the turkey hunter in me is like, golly, if there's something that makes your heart beat like a big gobbling turkey, and he's 50 times bigger than a turkey, I mean, my Lord, I might have to experience that. And so it was always something I was interested in and intrigued by, but I was just always a little apprehensive to kind of dive in because, like I said, it's not like I got a whole lot of extra time on my hands, and I was a little bit nervous I might actually really enjoy it. Well, a couple of years ago, my buddy Ronnie Lambert said, you need to try this. He said, I know how much you like turkey hunt. He likes turkey hunt a lot too. So his opinion, like, I trusted his opinion, and he knows me well enough to really be able to say, you need to do this, you'll enjoy this. He said, trust me, you need to come elk hunting. And I was like, okay. So with a little fear and nervousness and anxiety, I booked an elk hunt. And in perfect, just, I guess, good Lord's kindness, 2020 rolled around, and it's not like we can be in Canada. And so it was like September 2020 is perfect because here I get to go on an elk hunt this year. And when I put all this together, I really had two objectives. The first was I kind of wanted to figure out, is this something that I could get into? Am I going to like this? Is this something that's in my wheelhouse? If everybody said it's just like turkey hunting, then I probably would, but I wanted to experience it to its fullest potential, best I could, to really see, is this something that I could do? And so then kind of the second thing was I wanted to do it during a time of year when I get the full interaction of the calling, the bugling, and the back and forth, you know, the stuff that makes you love turkey hunting. I wanted to get that with the elk hunting. And so Ronnie's deal there at Lincoln Canyon was like the perfect opportunity because lots of elk. You hunt in the mornings with a lot of calling, moving around, kind of the run and gun approach. But then in the afternoon, you get the opportunity to also call and interact with them, but from a good, clean setup in a ground blind over a water hole. And so since this is not like the big high elevation mountains and trees and stuff, this is kind of like desert plains or high plains desert, super hot, and those water holes are really valuable in those kind of areas. So you know, I'm sure that the elk purists that watch this are going to think, you know, oh, he just set over a water hole. And yes, oh, I did just set over a water hole. But man, I'm not a bow hunter, and I needed to stack as many of the odds in my favor to successfully kill an elk as possible. And that meant having a good hide. That meant having a controlled environment where I didn't have to fling a 60-yard shot at a giant animal that was steamrolling us bugling, and I'm freaking out and mid-heart attack trying to get drawn in range and reset my pin. Like, that's just not me. I'm not that proficient as a bow hunter. And so this was kind of like the perfect setup because we could run a gun and call in the morning, but then in the afternoon we could set on a water hole, and there was a really good chance, Ronnie said, probably every day, he said, that we're going to have an opportunity, an interaction with an elk, and you'll be able to kind of, you know, look for the right shot. So the first afternoon we got there, it had been incredibly dry the previous week or week and a half, and really hot, which meant that the bulls and the herds of cows that were up in these higher elevations were really going to be looking for water more than normal. And so Ronnie texted me on Saturday afternoon. We're driving up there and said, hey, if y'all can get there a decent hour on Sunday, we'd like to go ahead and put you in the blind. And Sunday afternoon, that'd be awesome. It's really hot. Man, we got there, it was like 92 degrees. We're at 7,000 feet, and it's hot, which, if you're gonna hunt water, is like the perfect combination of things. So we roll in, and man, we park the side-by-side, and we get out, and we start walking, and we didn't get, I don't know, 250 yards from the side-by-side. And Robert stops and points over, and there's a whole herd of elk on the side of this facing hill. And they all kind of stand up, and of course they've seen us because we're walking. We just got out of the side-by-side, and they start kind of easing up this hill, and then they all stop and turn. And when they stop and turn, an elk bugles, and he's maybe 400 yards, and that's the first time I'd heard one bugle in the wild. And let me tell you, it was wild. It was unbelievable. And so we eased on up, and we had about, I don't know, we had another 400 or 500 yards we needed to go in order to get to this water hole. But man, we were like, I mean, we'd only been there 10 minutes, and here we got a whole herd of elk. And man, we're really optimistic. And I told Robert, I was like, man, look, I mean, if I have to, I'll shoot one this evening, but I want you to know I really don't want that to happen. Like, if I could choose it anyway, I'd really like to have an interaction with a few of them and kind of figure this whole thing out and let my heart go nuts and, you know, breathe deep and shoot one tomorrow or the next day. And he said, man, just see what happens. Okay, fair enough. So we sit there and we watch this herd all afternoon. And about 30 minutes before dark, the cows start coming down the hill towards the water. And they get, I don't know, they get 100 yards kind of from the rim of this canyon, and a bull comes over the top, and you can see his antlers really big. And I said to Robert, I said, how do you tell if it's a shooter? And he said, well, he's going to have really big eye guards, like up in front of his face, which I know it's brow tines, but they call them eye guards. And he said, and then out the back, like his rack is going to go up, and then it's going to go back like that, and kind of be a sharp angle, probably a 90-degree-ish angle. They call that the whale tail. And he said, if he's got a big whale tail and big eye guards, that's a shooter. That's a good bull. He said, if that bull comes down here, you probably need to shoot one on the first night. And I was like, okay. Well, I mean, just like clockwork, the cows come down the hill, and next thing you know, we've got 30 cows. They're all in the water in front of us, and they're splashing around, drinking water. And I mean, I'm already kind of having mild cardiac arrest. And sure enough, he bugles again, and it's closer. And then he bugles again, and it's closer. And he bugles again, and it's closer. And I was like, I looked over at Dylan, and I was like, I get it. This is turkey time. I mean, we're calling. He's coming. He thinks we're a bull down there because Robert's been bugling at him. And now we've stolen all of his ladies. Like, the choice now is, do I shoot this bull today, or do I wait until tomorrow? And at about that time, he steps out, and I said, Dylan, there he is. And so he's standing there at 40-ish, and I range him, and he's actually at 42. And he takes a few more steps closer, and I'm like, gosh, I know he's really getting close. And so I look over at Robert, and I'm like, do I shoot this bull, or do I wait? And he said, man, this is your hunt, Spence. I can't tell you what to do. He said, but that's a really good one. And he said, you'll be proud of that one. He said, do whatever you want to do. And so I got my rangefinder, and I put it on him, and about the time I could push the button to get the yardage, a bull over to our left about 200 yards bugles, and he picks his head up, puffs his chest out, and he strings right back at him. So at the same time that I'm looking in the rangefinder, I get 34 yards. He hammers at this one over to our left, and now he's perfectly broadside. He's 34 yards. I looked at Dylan and I said, I guess this is it. Clipped it on there, drew back, let it fly.
You smoked him, Spence. That's something just smoked. What is he right there? He's going down right there. Range him right there, Robert, just in case I need to shoot.
I mean, he died at 20 yards from where I shot him. He literally didn't go out of sight.
Oh my gosh.
But not being a deer hunter, not being a bow hunter, I feel like my bow is not as lethal as anything else I got to hunt with, you know. And so, like, he crashes, and Robert's like, he's down. Dylan's like, you smoked him, and I'm like, no, he's not dead yet. He's not dead. And then it kind of started to sink in. I was like, golly, this animal, I got him, you know, I got him. And he did it. He did everything I could possibly be. I've been there 4 hours, you know, and I just saw the whole kit and caboodle right there unfold very first afternoon. And, man, then it kind of just started sinking in. And I started, oh my gosh, you know, unbelievable. So we let the other elk kind of ease on off, and we go out there and look at him, and man, words do not do justice to how large these animals are. I'm used to shooting mallards and turkeys and even a few deer, and I've seen a few big deer. This thing was huge, just his body and his rack, and I guess in the grand scheme of things, he's not, you know, a world-class, huge trophy. He's fully mature, great animal. Most people, I think, you know, would kill to have the opportunity to shoot a 300-inch elk with their bow, and I'm incredibly grateful, but I was blown away at just how big this animal is.
Gosh, what an animal. Thank you, buddy.
New Mexico.
I did not think we were going to be eating Oreos all first afternoon.
14 inches probably.
Wow, what an animal.
And he carries his mass all the way up too.
Yeah, he's very symmetrical,
yeah,
except for that little
well,
fork
I'm
right
just talking
there.
about his mass.
Oh, that's all right.
Come out here for
We gutted him, and we eased on back and got dinner, told Cary the whole story. Well, Cary had a similar encounter, but as his bull was coming in that afternoon, wind kind of swirled, and it totally spooked. But he had seen what he thought was probably a 350-inch plus bull, and had a nice encounter with him. And he was fired up because he thought, man, he saw a bunch of elk just like I did. So next day it rained, and there wasn't much going that day. Cary and Dylan went and set a couple spots that afternoon. Didn't have any action. Well, then the next day after that, it got hot again. Cary was pretty optimistic. He told Dylan, he's like, we need to get out there early. There's a big bull over here, and I saw him yesterday in the afternoon. I saw him yesterday that morning, and he said, I'll bet you anything that bull comes to this water this afternoon, because he's been running hard, pushing cows around. He's got to be hot. And so they did. They got out there about 2 o'clock, which is about an hour and a half before anybody normally gets to a water hole, and they probably sweated to death because it was hot. But about 5:30, they had a really nice 5x5 come through, got in the water. Man, he rolled around, bugled a few times, just put on a show. And I would have loved to have been in the blind, because I know good and well that Dylan was thinking, all right, we already got one of them on camera. If we could get a second one on camera, this would just be amazing. And Cary was looking at Dylan going, no, that's not the one I seen. I'm going to wait. So he waited, and probably an hour and a half later, one started bugling, Cary said, across the canyon. And man, he probably bugled, I guess Cary said 8 or 10 times. It's similar to mine. They see him profiled on the horizon, and he follows the herd down the hill. And here he's coming to the water. Well, in Cary's situation, when the cows got about 150 yards from the water, they split, and the cows went up a canyon, and that bull was kind of between the water and those cows. Cary's heart kind of sank and thought, he's not coming, he's going to follow those cows. Well, he bugled about 3 times, and then just broke and came straight onto the water. He came right to the spot that Cary kind of had ranged, and he stopped at 40 yards broadside, car. He said, "You got him?" Dylan said, "Yep." He drew back, boom, perfect shot.
What was it? Oh, he's done. Get another one. Done. He's done. It's back.
I guess the shot was good, but because they didn't see him go down, after dinner we just decided, hey, let's give him the evening. It's going to be really cool tonight. We'll get there first thing in the morning. And got there first thing the next morning. Boom, there he was.
Oh my gosh! That's unreal. Holy cow. Never felt so helpless in my life. Now look at his throat right here.
Is it better than waterfowl hunting? Is it better than turkey hunting? I don't know. I don't do good with comparison. You know, somebody asked me what's my favorite meal. I mean, it depends. Depends on whether I feel like a steak or whether I feel like chicken. Because some days I love chicken thighs. Other days I love a ribeye steak. I mean, I hate having to pick between the two of them. And I think maybe one of the little kindnesses that the good Lord shows to us in this life is that the really great things, the fun things, they're all kind of in their own season. And so, you know, can I make room in September for a big game hunt and a bugle and elk? Yeah, I'd say so.